on mute. I'm on mute. What's happening, people? It's your girl, Minna. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what it is. Happy Wednesday. The sun is shining. I'm in a good mood. Ben Chilwell talks has been put on the back burner. You see it. I had it in the title, but we're still going to talk about it anyways because now that talk has kind of hit the road, Jack, if you know what I mean. Listen, big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe if you've just come through for the daily dose of Minna, man. I promise I'm going to be consistent as much as I can, and we're here with another stream. You know what it is, man. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today. Jadon Sancho to Juve is looking highly likely, as reportedly Manchester United have agreed terms with Juventus. We're going to talk about the terms, what it kind of is. It's a loan. It's a loan, but we're going to talk about whether it's an option to buy, obligation to buy, who's going to be covering the wages, all of that kind of stuff. It looks like potentially Dan Ashworth, Umar Barada, and Manchester United use Chelsea as a smokescreen. However, I'm saying that very lightly because the Sterling talks are not going away. They remain very much in the paper talk, in the transfer talk kind of thing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Ben Chilwell. We're going to talk also about Hannibal Mejbri officially announced by Burnley as the newest player. Manchester United got a decent deal there, I think, for a player in his last year of his contract. Sekou Kone expected to complete his medical and paperwork and be announced by Manchester United pretty soon. He's in Manchester right now, so shout out to him. So we've got a lot to talk about, guys. Big up to everyone in the chat. Like I said, be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe, and make sure you get involved with the conversation. Big up to Suleiman in the chat, says, reckon Sancho Juve deal got done because of Chiesa. It could be. Let's actually start with that. You know, we always like to start the stream with everything that's going on outside of Manchester United. So let's actually start with that, because in case you lot have been not online, you know, because not everyone's chronically online. So if you've not been online in the last 3-4 hours or couple of hours, Liverpool got the here we go to sign Federico Chiesa, 13 million euros. Proper bar. That is a bargain. I don't care what anyone says. You can try and downplay it as much as you want. 30 million euros, which is about 9 million pounds. That is a bargain for a player that can definitely give you something off the bench. And also the way that I do look at it as well is that if he flops at Liverpool, it is what it is. If he pops off at Liverpool, they got themselves a bargain. At the end of the day, 13 million, I think, it's not that much money when you really think about it. And in terms of the quality and the experience that you're getting with the player, that is a good deal. That is a very good deal. So Liverpool get their first signing of the season. Is he going to be available for the game on the weekend? I'm not sure. He's arrived in Liverpool to do his medical, so we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Another thing that has just popped up, guys, and I'm mentioning it because Manchester United obviously have not been linked. They haven't really been linked to this player, but this player has been linked to many teams, many teams, and it's quite unfortunate. I would actually say, I'm using the term unfortunate, but Victor Osimhen, what is going on at Napoli and Victor Osimhen and his agent? Seriously, guys, what is going on with all of that? Because he went from being one of the most sought after strikers after Napoli won the league to nobody wanting to buy him right now. Now, of course, a big part of that is that big release clause he's got, 120 million. But now Saudi Arabia have entered the chat. The Saudi Pro League have entered the chat and offered him, listen to this, guys, a 4-year, 120 million contract, 30 million a year. If he walks away from 30 million a year, I rate it. I'm not gonna lie, I rate it. Al Ahly are interested in him. Al Ahly are also, by the way, interested in Ivan Toney, where they've offered him a big contract as well. They've offered him, I think it's 60 million over 3 years. So they're offering Ivan Toney 20 million a year, and they're offering Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen here said this guy should not be going to Saudi at age 25. I want to see him at the top. But I think this is what happens when your agent is wanting big fees and nobody wants to talk. No club wants to talk to your agent. You know, Napoli have said that they're willing to budge on the release clause, not within like a certain amount. And by the way, it's also been reported that he is only entertaining offers that come with a release clause. So I don't know. Whoever's his advisors, they're very interesting. That's very interesting. Scott is gone to Napoli now, hasn't he? Well, he hasn't officially gone to do his medical. We saw pictures of him yesterday at Old Trafford, you know, but he's still, he was reportedly crossing the T's, dotting the I's, agreeing a payout with Manchester United, which is what they've agreed with also Aaron Wan-Bissaka. There is no problem of his departure. He is expected to go today to do his medical. And likewise, Manuel Ugarte is also here doing his medical today. So just a little, let's start with something positive, something nice, something light. Sekou Kone. Can I drop some Sancho news that Fabrizio mentioned on YouTube? Yeah, go on if you've got it, because I've seen the reports about if it's anything different to what we know about Juve agreeing terms. But quickly on Sekou Kone, medical about to be done, terms agreed, contract signed, all of that stuff. I think he's in Manchester. So we might get two. I know that Obi Martin has not been announced yet, and I know Lasol has not been announced yet either, because that's waiting for ratification from the Premier League. But I think his transfer should be okay for him to be announced. So we might have a good one. Juve have presented a loan with an option to buy proposal. This is exactly what we're going to talk about. Fabrizio coming through with this information, but I think it's actually come from another journalist about an hour ago. Big up, Ridwan. We're gonna get to that quickly, but let's start with this. Let's start with the more positive stuff in the transfer window thus far, because this morning it was Man United are querying about Ben Chilwell. They are talking to Chelsea about possibly signing Ben Chilwell. Fabrizio Romano has come out and completely downplayed that. He said Manchester United's current stance is very clear on Ben Chilwell. No interest, no talks, no discussion, no nothing. Nothing is there for Ben Chilwell. Which I'm like, okay, that's good. But Man United do need a left back. Manchester United do need a left back. So if they're not getting Ben Chilwell, which I'm happy they're not, because we've sat here and spoken about Ben Chilwell's injury record. We've sat here and discussed what's the difference between the injury record of Ben Chilwell and the injury record of Luke Shaw or the other players that we complain about. It would make no sense for United to sign him. And one thing I've realized is that it doesn't make sense for United to sign players that clubs are pushing out. It looks like Man United are moving away from that. They're, for me, if United did go for Ben Chilwell, they went for Raheem Sterling, which we're going to get to Raheem Sterling. That has Glazers written all over it. And I'm hoping that INEOS are different. Why don't we go for Kadioglu? I feel like we have some leeway in the budget now. Well, we don't have leeway in the budget. There was a report suggesting that Man United's finances are all tied up in Ugarte, number one. Number two, Kadioglu has just been announced today as a Brighton player. He's been announced as, I think they posted something saying like Turkish Delight or something like that. I don't know. But he's been announced as a Brighton player. And you know what? Kadioglu will probably end up leaving Brighton in 2 years for like 70 million. I wouldn't be surprised. Because that's what Brighton do. Brighton, we all know Brighton buy to sell. That is the movement for them. Just some quick news here, because this has been I don't know what it is. Yeah, guys, I really don't know what it is. How this conversation just comes back up every so often. Every couple of weeks, Ivan Toney is a name that pops back up with Manchester United. And this is coming from the Evening Standard, that Manchester United reportedly have held initial talks over a late deal for Ivan Toney, but securing a move remains the forward's priority to Chelsea. He wants to go to Chelsea. Chelsea's his priority. And obviously we know Friday is the transfer deadline day. Like, what do we know, guys, about this Ivan Toney situation? We know, number one, Brentford will risk losing him on a free. From January onwards, he's free to talk to other clubs. Number one. Number two, we know Brentford wanted 60 million. Now they've lowered it to 50 million. We know the only club that has actually approached him, by the way, directly, is Al Ahly in Saudi. The only club that's actually that's actually approached him is Al Ahly. That's it. No one else has approached him. Arsenal want a striker. Chelsea want a striker. Spurs wanted a striker. Nobody looked in Ivan Toney's way. Manchester United is the only name that keeps popping up with Ivan Toney. And even with Chelsea, I watch a couple of I watch all types of football content creators, and I watch a few Chelsea ones. And a lot of the conversations over there in the Chelsea camp, in the Chelsea fan content area, is discussions about Victor Osimhen, because they want Victor Osimhen. I've seen a lot of them say they don't want Ivan Toney. Now, Ivan Toney obviously comes with, he has his history of his suspension, etc., etc. But there is no kind of denying that Ivan Toney would immediately improve the quality in any team's depth, right? Especially for Manchester United. He would definitely improve that. Now, another point that has been downplayed by other reporters, and these are various reports from the Telegraph, from the Mail, etc., where Manchester United's finances are all kind of covered up in Manuel Ugarte and getting that deal done. Fabrizio tweeted. Let's see what he tweeted. What did he tweet? He didn't tweet anything of reference. Is it about the Victor Osimhen stuff that you're talking about, that he tweeted about? Because I see he just tweeted about Victor Osimhen saying Al Ahly have sent a proposal to Victor Osimhen, which includes a release clause. Interesting. But yeah, just on Ivan Toney, I don't know. He tweeted on Sancho. Bro, Tom, don't lie, because I can't see nothing. I can't see anything about Sancho. I can see the news that he did on his channel, by the way. I'm on his Twitter right now. I can't see anything on Sancho. So if you can see it, just tag me in the tweet and I'll put it up on here. But I can't see anything about Sancho. I saw about him on a YouTube channel talking about Jadon Sancho, which we're gonna get to. We haven't even got the chance to speak about in depth about Jadon Sancho. Big Up DJ says, Mina, I think we'll make one more signing, and I think it will be a midfielder. I would like for it to be a midfielder, but I'm also kind of hoping that it is. Do I want a midfielder as a final signing? Because I'm really worried about the goals. I'm really worried about where the goals are going to come from. Big Up Elite Baller says, Palmer Top Minna, the best ones are the champion ones from 90s. Cost a fortune now. Yeah, they do. They cost an arm and a leg. Happy to have Toney. I mean, who wouldn't be happy to have Ivan Toney? Who would not be happy to have Ivan Toney? I'm sure a lot of United fans would take Ivan Toney, but it's about being realistic when it comes to it. Now, he's on the radar of another team, Chelsea, who's looking for a striker. If Victor Osimhen ends up going to Al Ahly, I think Ivan Toney goes to Chelsea. If Ivan Toney ends up going to Al Ahly, I think what's it called? Then I think Victor Osimhen will end up going to Chelsea. That's it. I would risk getting Toney on a free and bring in a midfielder now. I would, you know what? If Ivan Toney is still available next summer, guys, let me ask you guys. If Ivan Toney is still available next summer, would you take him on a free? On a free, would you take Ivan Toney? Let me know. Just all you guys have to do is say yes or no in the chat. Will you take him on a free if he's available? I think INEOS are moving away from the idea of paying for players or paying significant fees for players that are in the final year of their contract. He's free in January, no, he can talk to clubs in January, but my understanding is that his contract finishes in June 30th. So he will be available next summer on a free. Twilumber says no, this ain't no retirement home. A few of you lot saying yes. I guess it depends on where Manchester United find themselves with strikers next season, because if we turn around at the end of the season, and maybe this is something for us to revisit then, but if we turn around at the end of the season and Højlund gets 20 goals all comps and Xerxes got 20 goals all comps, United might not look at a striker as a priority signing. They might not look at that as a priority next season. I think it'll be interesting to see what the priorities are for next summer in terms of the targets. And I think a big part of that depends on how people get on this season. That is the most important part, because if they do get on pretty well, if the new signings get on well, the midfielders, the fullbacks, the defenders, maybe United will go look at a left winger next summer. Maybe that might be their priority signing. Maybe they might look at bringing in a second, creative midfielder. Maybe that might be their priority. If people go on and struggle with injuries, and then maybe they might say, you know what, we need some backup fullbacks. We might need another centre back. United, I don't know if United are going to be hoarding centre backs next summer. Is interesting, especially if depending on Jared Braithwaite's situation. If Ivan Toney's available next summer, absolutely, I would take him. But one thing I will say is that I really think Brentford are pricing Ivan Toney out of a move in the Premier League. Maybe they're making it difficult for Premier League clubs to buy him because 55 million, 50 million for a player in his final year of his contract just makes no sense. It makes no sense. Even though United, and this is me saying this as United paid 50-something million for Mason Mount last summer. They should never have done that. They should really have never done that. But Ivan Toney, on his final year of his contract, no matter if he can get you 15, 20 goals maybe at best in all competitions, should not be worth 55, 60 million. Definitely not. So I think if Ivan Toney ends up staying at Brentford, and we'll revisit this on Friday on deadline day, if Ivan Toney stays at Brentford, it's because Brentford priced him out of a move. Simple as that. The only other, can I say, option that he has right now, kind of concrete information that we've seen, is that Al Ahly are after him. Other than that, not much. But anyways, let's get into this. Let's get into the deets of possibly the biggest. I don't want to call it a scandal because it's not a scandal. It's actually not a scandal. Let's get into this because this is still everywhere. This is still the topic of discussion. The topic of discussion is still Raheem Sterling, Jadon Sancho, Man United, Juve, Chelsea. What do we know so far? Let's break it down. Let's break it down because different journalists are saying different stuff. Reports coming out of Italy suggest that Juve are currently the front runners to sign Jadon Sancho, a loan with an option to buy. Man United are looking for a loan with an obligation to buy, or they're looking for a decent transfer, a loan fee. Now, Fabrice Hawkin reported that Juve and Man United had reached an agreement with Jadon Sancho on a loan with an obligation to buy. Less than an hour later, Fabrizio Romano comes out and says no agreement has been reached between Man United and Juve, but Juve are the front runners to sign him. He kind of topped that up a little bit by saying that Chelsea are very keen or very open to signing Jadon Sancho for a Raheem Sterling swap, but they are not keen on paying big money and signing Sancho with no players involved in the deal. Sancho is open to joining Chelsea or Juve. So he's open to joining both. Chelsea have their own kind of Minna's phone popping up. Sorry, I put it right next to my mic on vibrate. It's not even text. It's my prayer alert that's reminding me that it's prayer time soon. But what do we know about this? All right, what do we know about this? Because this topic of the conversation has had the fan base in a meltdown. It's had the fan base in a meltdown for the last 24 hours. It looks like Chelsea have their own problems to solve when it comes to not just Raheem Sterling, but even possibly signing Jadon Sancho. David Ornstein has kind of doubled down on this. Every journalist has kind of doubled down on this, that if Manchester United sign Raheem Sterling from Chelsea, it's solely because it financially benefits them. This potential swap deal that we keep talking about Sancho and Sterling is only going to happen if it benefits Manchester United. And I think that's the most important thing here, that we kind of need to stick firm to that. United should not be signing a player that's coming towards the beginning of the end of his career without it being a benefit for them. Now, one thing that we do know, obviously, is that Manchester United are really keen to get rid of Jadon Sancho. I think what happened last season was kind of maybe the final nail in the coffin for his time at Manchester United. And it kind of sets, I think it would set an interesting notion within the team, especially when you're trying to create a team that's in harmony and like a team with good relationships, etc. It would leave a bit of feeling on people if Jadon Sancho became an integral part of the first team after everything that kind of took place last season. Now, we've known that he's always been on the chopping block for INEOS. They've been looking to sell him if the right agreements come in. But what is the best option? That is the question. What is the best option right now for Manchester United to sell Jadon Sancho? Do they look at a loan to Juve, who, by the way, I think is the best option to go to Juve, whether it's a loan with an option or obligation? I'll tell you why. Big up to Ahmed with the super chat, says we have Xerxes and Højlund. New forward is not the priority. We need a left back, right back, centre mid, left wing, right winger more right now. Some as starters, some as backups. Well, are you saying that we need a central midfielder on top of the DM that we're signing in Ugarte? I guess that's what you're saying. And that makes sense, because if Scott McTominay has left, Hannibal's left, The only other midfield options that we have right now is we got Cass, we got Kobe, we've got Toby Collier, we got Christian Eriksen. That's it. And then Ugarte, obviously, if he comes in, or when he comes in. But can I just say, on this kind of information about like Jadon Sancho and whatnot, Man United are looking for an obligation to buy. And it makes sense because why? The biggest thing for Man United right now is that Jadon Sancho is on 250 a week. They will have to somehow compromise in paying some of his salary. It's inevitable. If he's going to somewhere like Juve, Vlahovic is their highest earner, and after that, the next person was Szczesny, who was on like 180. So they will definitely have to probably pay some of his salary, and I don't think they're willing to part way with those costs without a guaranteed transfer in sight for the player. So it will either go two ways, I think, for Juve. I think for Juve, it will be an option to buy. And it's similar to last season. Like, if he has a good season in Italy, he might have a great season in Serie A. Saudi might turn around next summer and say, you know what, we want Jadon Sancho. You know, Al Ahly might turn around, Al Nassr, someone might turn around and be like, you know what, he's a really good player. We want to sign him. And that might help Manchester United, or other clubs could be interested in him. But I think it's a gamble if Man United take anything less than an obligation to buy, because there's no guarantee he's going to pop off in Serie A. I think the league will be better for him. Maybe, you know, working under Thiago Motta as well will be better for him as well. But the only way they get something out of Chelsea, in my opinion, Man United walk away with the better end of the stick, selling Jadon Sancho to Man United if they get money for him. Because if they get a player in kind of coming the other way, what is the difference? Like, honestly, what is the Man United's biggest issue right now is cash flow. Okay, you make savings in wages, and maybe you can convince Chelsea to take on the burden of his wages, so you don't have to pay him out, because paying Jadon Sancho out in comparison to paying out Scott McTominay or Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be a lot more expensive. So maybe Man United, you know, can get the negotiations on the table where Chelsea agree to, you know, take on the sum of his contract, because at the end of the day, his contract in comparison to Sterling's is less. But Raheem Sterling reportedly, if he was to settle with Chelsea regarding his contract, he's 3 years, 325k. He's owed near enough to 70 million. He's owed near enough to 70 million. And Manchester United will definitely, they wouldn't even touch that with a poll, let alone anything else. So I really, really hope that Manchester United, if they are serious about Raheem Sterling, and by the way, guys, I've never seen people so divided. I think most of the opinion I'm seeing about Raheem Sterling to Manchester United is people being against it. A lot of it is people being against it. But the more I think about it, I'm like, and just hear me out, guys, if it financially works out for Manchester United, meaning Chelsea and Sterling settle their issues financially, he gets his settlement, he's brought out of his entire contract, meaning he can sign a 2-year deal with Man United or whatever, 2-year with an option, and he takes a big pay cut, maybe. But I've said this all the time, and I said this yesterday, the idea of Raheem Sterling at Old Trafford in a Man United shirt is mental. This is a guy that wore a Liverpool shirt, a City shirt, and a Chelsea shirt. All that's left is for him to join Man United and Arsenal, and that's it. I would say Spurs, but you know, you can put Spurs into that as well. He's played for 3 of the top 6. I don't think I've ever seen, is there anybody in my history, I'm trying to think, in modern football right now, maybe in the last 10, 15 years, that has played for 3 of the top 6 or 3 of the top 4? And the City weren't really top 4 back then, so they don't count. A swap for Sterling makes a lot of sense from a PSR perspective, if not from a playing one. I don't really see how he makes the team better on the pitch, but I'll explain here. I've seen some people suggesting that Raheem Sterling could be a good option off the bench, you know, because what does he do good? What does Raheem Sterling do good? You know, he's good at dribbling. It's just his finishing that's bad, right? Whenever he gets to that box, suddenly something clicks in his head and he just makes the worst decision, or he can't put the ball in the back of the net. But a lot of the other stuff that he does is what United are missing right now from a player like Marcus Rashford. But that's not me saying that United should sign him. The only logic I can think of Raheem Sterling joining Manchester United is purely PSR. Why? Because if they can get a huge wage off their books in Jadon Sancho and they take on a smaller wage in Raheem Sterling, they will do it. INEOS will do it. Should they? Absolutely. I don't think they should. But just some updates on this Raheem Sterling stuff, because we know that, reportedly Manchester United, some journalists, and this is what I don't get, during the transfer window, we get a lot of conflicting information. So I'm going to give you lot the information, and you lot can kind of draw your own conclusions like I am myself. Raheem Sterling, Manchester United are looking at Raheem Sterling as a separate transfer to Jadon Sancho. Number one. That's what's been reported yesterday. However, today it was reported that Manchester United's ability to sign Sterling feels like it's a smart one to strengthen the left-hand side with the player's versatility as well, that he can play up top. Now, again, this is coming from Ben Jacobs, so take a look at pictures. Manchester United cannot move for Raheem Sterling unless he agrees a settlement with Chelsea and Jadon Sancho goes the other way. That is the preferred situation. And there is an outside chance that United can get the terms with Sterling and still get Jadon Sancho to join Juve. Now, apparently, the person that's leading all of this is Dan Ashworth. This move for Manchester United and Raheem Sterling is being kind of orchestrated by Dan Ashworth. I mean, why wouldn't it be? That's literally his job. It's one of his jobs anyway. So I understand that. Sterling scored 17 goals in 21-22, 9 goals in 22-23, and 10 goals in 23-24. He's on the decline. Probably will score around 7 in a Man United shirt. That's all comps. And that's the thing. 7 in all comps. That's what we call a bad season for Marcus Rashford, right? Is that going to make a heap of difference? Maybe if you think about, he might, some competition for Marcus Rashford, okay. Outside of that, what other benefit is it having Raheem Sterling? Bar, I would say he would probably be the most experienced forward. He would actually, at the age of 29, he would be the most experienced forward for Manchester United. And on top of that, can I say, there's other traits that he has that's beneficial, i.e., his ability to dribble. When he gets into the box, he can draw a penalty. He literally was drawing penalties left, right, centre for Manchester City. Sterling creates chaos, says 3 to 5 players have to gang up on him to stop him, and fullbacks don't look forward to playing against him as he relishes taking on fullbacks for 90 minutes. It has to do with Sancho costing £27.6 million annually with a contract and amortized signing fee. That's true. And that's the thing. That's why I said that Jadon Sancho joining Chelsea, I can only imagine the only way it makes sense to me is because Manchester United are trying to improve their PSR situation. This could go down as possibly, guys, one of the worst, I don't want to say worst signings because we've seen worse signings at Manchester United, but it could be nearly as bad as the Sanchez Mkhitaryan swap that we saw a couple years back. It could literally be on that same level. Now, I'm not saying Jadon Sancho's washed, and I'm not saying Raheem Sterling is washed, but Mkhitaryan, for me, probably had more impact in United in the number of years he was here in comparison to these other players in discussion. Sanchez could really... He started to see a dip at his time at Arsenal, and it made sense for... I don't even... Till today, that transfer, can I say, makes no sense. That makes till today, that transfer makes no sense. I'd take Sterling only if it's a loan, better than buying him and being stuck with him. I'd sell Sancho to Chelsea and make sure we're rid of him. I don't think Sancho, for me, Sancho going to Chelsea, as someone who wants Sancho to do well, Sancho going to Chelsea makes no sense. Because you're not a guaranteed starter. I mean, I don't even know who's the guaranteed left winger for Chelsea. They don't even have one. They don't have one. It's changing every week so far in the first 2 match days that we've seen. Why would you go to Chelsea unless the only purpose I can think of is from a home perspective, like you want to be back home in London? That's the only thing I can think of. If you want to play at a team where you're under Thiago Motta, who is dubbed as this up-and-coming manager that, by the way, takes no bullshit. He takes no shit from players. If you had to pick between the two, obviously you have to take a huge pay cut to go play at Juve. You have to take a big pay cut. But if you're getting paid out by Man United, you're not going to care. You're not really going to care if you're getting paid out by Manchester United. I just want to see an end to this Jadon Sancho situation. It's either he leaves and that's it. It's the end of that. But even if he leaves, I know that the topic of if he goes out on loan, and this is why I want him to be sold, It's not me. Maybe it's me being selfish, but I want him to be sold so that I don't have to ever hear about Jadon Sancho in a petty way, because it seems to be you're either pro Sancho or anti Sancho. What if you're neither and you just want to see the end of this situation? People are going to say you're sitting on the fence. But what if you want the player to do well and you want the club to do well, so you just want to see the end of this situation between the two? You don't have to be pro player or pro Ten Hag, as people may like to make it out. And that's where I stand with this. I like Jadon Sancho as a player, but I think his situation's been, unfortunate, and it just needs to come to an end. And he could possibly be the final outgoing for Man United in the summer transfer window, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the Raheem Sterling thing is an interesting one. But listen, guys, big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Let's get to 100 like, guys. We've got over 100 people in here. It means people haven't hit the like button. So just hit the like button if you are coming through now, and get involved in the chat. If you want to join the Minions gang, the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel, the ever-growing channel. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can by sending in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, if you appreciate and enjoy the regular content here. Or you can just do something simple and just hit the like button, and you can just subscribe. Let's see, have we made it to 6.1k yet? We hit 6k on the weekend. Let's see if we got to 6.1. We're not too far off. We're a couple of subs off. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Mina, how can you still like him? Have you not seen his Instagram page? No, I haven't. I don't follow footballers on Instagram, guys. I don't really follow many footballers on Instagram. Let me see what his Instagram is. I always see this conversation about his Instagram, but I just feel like we pay too much attention to players' social media. Like, let me see what his Sancho. Let me see what his Instagram is saying. Oh, you're saying this because it's like this. It's just Dortmund stuff. Because his Instagram is just like that. It's just pure Dortmund stuff. He posted something on his story today. Oh no, he took it down. I thought he posted something from training today. So clearly he's in training, because he posted a video of him taking a touch and then top bins volley. So he posted something that's Manchester United related on his story, guys. But can I just say quickly, just on like social media, I don't care about what players do on social media. I get it. We live in a different time now where, if you're posting your club and after a match day and training pictures and all of that, it shows that, your commitment. But I think we're reading too much into it. It's yellow. Yeah, because don't you think, and let me just play devil's advocate for a second, guys. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Don't you think that his time at Dortmund reminds him of a happy time? So that's why it's on his page. That's it. I do think Jadon Sancho will be sold, guys. I definitely do think he will be sold. And like, as I mentioned here, I think his destination would be here. I think if Manchester United sell him to Chelsea, it's purely for Manchester United's gain. I know a lot of people don't care about where he goes. I know a lot of people don't, like a lot of United fans that want him to leave, just don't really care where he goes. But I don't know how he could look at Chelsea and think a manager who has publicly outed multiple players is not going to do that to you. And you still look at that as a possible destination as to where you want to go. I think Jadon Sancho should leave England completely. I think he should leave, because any team that he goes to in the top 6 or the top 5 or whatever you want to call it, top 8, they are teams that are under a media microscope. Chelsea are, alongside Man United, under a media microscope this window because of everything that's happened. Maresca coming in, sending Chilwell to the gulag, sending Chalobah to the gulag, sending Sterling, Lukaku, etc., etc. You're now going to go to a team that has all that attention and all that spotlight. And when Chelsea do lose or they draw or they drop points, the internet's having a field day. Media everywhere. 1 billion. What do they call them? The billion pound boys or something like that. Why would you want to go there knowing that one thing that was said about you by a manager at Man United turned this whole situation into an upheaval? Like, it doesn't make sense. He has to leave England. If I think that's what's best for him. Obviously, I'm not here to speak about what's best for him. But when I look at a transfer like this, I'm looking at where it could be the possible, what is his level? And I'm not saying Chelsea's not his level, but I'm saying outside of all the media attention and everything, Italy is the perfect destination, similar to him going to Germany and going to Dortmund. It's as simple as that. Team needs a wage structure overhaul. That could be another thing, by the way. That could be another thing as to why they're obviously looking to part ways with him. They'll probably look to part ways with Casemiro. You never know. Mason Mount might be on the chopping block next summer. They might be looking to part ways with all the players. They might be looking to part ways with all the players that are on big wages. Because INEOS are trying, and that's another thing, can I just say, doesn't make sense to me about Raheem Sterling joining Manchester United. Unless he takes a big pay cut. He's 29 years old, guys. Raheem Sterling, let me bring up Raheem on screen here. Raheem Sterling is 29 years old, guys. He's getting his last big contract after this, which is why he probably doesn't want to settle it with Chelsea, because he wants his money. After this, I can only imagine the only other big contract he could get would be in Saudi or MLS or something like that. It would not be in Europe's top 5 leagues. And it would go against everything that INEOS are clearly trying to build, unless they're doing it for a selfish reason, which is for their own kind of PSR reasons. Sancho wasn't up for the fight against Antony at Chelsea. There's like 7 wingers that are ahead of him. I mean, that's another thing as well, because when I speak about Jadon Sancho, obviously I speak about how I want him to do well and everything. But do you guys feel like Jadon Sancho let his teammates down last season? In a season where United were struggling for players. In literally, it was injury crisis galore. And you're telling me the one possibly able winger that Manchester United had was literally happy to be in a feud with a manager. If I was a player, whether I'm Sancho's friend or not in the dressing room, just as a teammate, I would look at my teammate and be so disappointed, because you can see that we're struggling for numbers every match day. It's like when you go, basically, guys, it's like, when you play, this is a funny comparison, but if you play 5-a-side, if you go goals, if you play 5-a-side with your friends or 7-a-side, it's like putting your name down on the list, right? I'm sure you lot have this, because we have this when I play football. We got a group chat, everyone puts their name down. Come whatever day you're playing in 5-a-side, or I play 9-a-side. So come the day of Sunday when we're going 9-a-side, I've put my name down on the list, but I haven't turned up. So now the team that I would have been on is a player short, but I haven't told anyone I'm not coming. I've just not turned up. I'm letting my teammate down. I'm literally letting my teammates down because they're depending on you. So I look at this Jadon Sancho thing, and of course I think as a person, he's probably still a likable guy. He's probably still got friends in the dressing room, etc. We know how close him and Rashford are. We know he's friends with other people as well. But he let his teammates down when that happened. When all of that happened, he let his teammates down. And in a season where we could have done with having a not just a Jadon Sancho, but just having a competent winger, when Garnacho was playing 40-something games in a row, when Marcus Rashford was partying in Belfast, etc., we could have done with having a Jadon Sancho. And yeah, he let people down. So that's why I think it's another reason why he needs to be sold, because if he was to stay, and this is why last month was it when he came back into training just before pre-season and everybody was shocked and all of that kind of stuff. I remember saying this is for cameras, because there's no way in hell that Manchester United as an organization, what Cristiano Ronaldo did, right, and what Marcus Rashford did is not even remotely the same, right? But the element of it is quite similar in terms of they've disrespected the club, they've let their teammates down, etc., etc. Ronaldo got how many Ballon d'Ors and trophies to stand on? So the backlash, I think, was a lot less. I think more people were pro Ronaldo than they were pro Ten Hag when they decided to terminate his contract. With Jadon Sancho, however, you look at all of that and you take into consideration his 3-4 years, however much, at Manchester United, and it's not adding up. It's really not adding up. Look how the manager treated Ahmad. Doubt he'd treat Sancho any different. I mean, the manager has come out this summer, if you don't remember, in pre-season. Erik Ten Hag came out and said, because everyone's talking about Ahmad as a young player, and he basically said, which is kind of true, but he said Ahmad is not a kid. He's not an inexperienced player. He's an experienced player. He's one of the senior players, so he needs to show it this season. That is true to an extent, but you can't really take any credit for him being a senior player because you didn't give him much of his playing time in senior football. He got a whole season at Sunderland on his loan. He came back to United, barely played. Now that you need a right winger and the player that you took a risk on in Anthony is not really that good and is not good enough for the starting team. Now that all of that has happened and you realize, you know what, I might not have a budget to buy a right winger. I might have to utilize the options that I've got. Now you're saying, oh yeah, he's a senior player. We can't treat him like he's a young player. We can treat him like a young player to an extent. To an extent, we shouldn't hold him to the same standards as, say, Rashford, because Rashford's been playing first team football at Manchester United for a lot longer. He's been age-wise, he's 22. Amad Diallo is 22, so he is technically not on the level of Kobe, etc. But Kobe's got more caps or appearances, under his belt for Manchester United than Amad Diallo does. So on paper, Kobe is more experienced than Amad Diallo is at Manchester United's first team. And of course, I don't think Amad took any... he didn't take it as a harsh thing, what Erik Ten Hag said, because I don't know if you guys have realized, Amad Diallo has been doing a lot of media duties lately with Manchester United, with MUTV, the press conferences whilst on tour during pre-season. He's been doing a lot more media duties, which is very clear that Manchester United see him as this player that's capable. They won't just throw anyone kind of in front of the media. Sancho has been terrible as a United player. Amad went on loan and got hurt when he came back. That's more of the reason he didn't play. I mean, last summer before he got hurt, there was talk about him going on loan again. There was talk about Amad going on loan again. And I remember specifically because Middlesbrough wanted him. Middlesbrough and Michael Carrick wanted him on loan. And it's only because he got injured, because there was talk about Hannibal going on loan as well that summer as well. When he got injured is the only reason why he probably ended up staying. Liverpool brought Chiesa for 10 mil and Oliver Skip cost 20 mil. I mean, Chiesa is an example of a player that's not wanted at his club. I think he's in his final year of his contract, if I'm not wrong. He's not wanted by his club. When your club don't want you, and I think that's another big part of Jadon Sancho's situation. When the club don't want you, buying teams can use that to get a lower fee for that player. Which is why Man United had to come out and, ring a roses, act like it's a happy family between Jadon Sancho and Erik Ten Hag. They had to do that because they knew when it came to trying to sell him in the summer, people are just going to be like, listen, bro, you guys literally want him out. And that's why, I look at Trevor Chalobah at Chelsea, and if United were to move for a backup centre-back and they went for Trevor Chalobah, if they got him for 10, 15 million, I wouldn't be mad about that because it's a cheap fee. And we know that he's not wanting at his club. But if they went out and paid 30 million, 35, 40 million, then no, absolutely not. It would make no sense. Let's see if there's actually any updates on this Jadon Sancho thing. Because every reporter, like I said, is saying conflicting stuff. People are saying no agreement has been reached between Man United and Juve. Other reporters are saying an agreement has been reached. And this is possibly the time of the transfer window where everybody just wants to get ahead of the game, because if we talk about other players, by the way, guys, just a bit off topic, I saw Soufiane Amrabat is being linked to a move in like the Tiger in Fenerbahce or something on loan for like 3 million, for a 3 million loan and then an option to buy, which I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know how realistic that is. Just some other little moving pieces for Manchester United. This guy right here, Christian Eriksen, bottom of the pecking order for Manchester United. Definitely, as Marcel would like to say, a surplus to requirements. I don't see his future. I don't see him being anywhere near first, second, third option for Manchester United this season as a midfielder. And because of Christian Eriksen, actually, is why I think Man United need to sign another midfielder, because the thought of Man United having no other option in midfield but Christian Eriksen, it scares me, because in his first season, we knew 60 minutes is what you'll get out of him. This is now his third season. I don't know how much minutes United can get out of him. Now, we've seen what he can play international football, etc. But the ability to play game in, game out when called upon is a different kind of conversation. Now, I would say on the weekend, taking off Bruno, it would have made sense to bring on Christian Eriksen. If you're trying to get a control of the midfield, it would make sense. If you want to slow the game down and have someone playing the game at United's tempo, it would make sense to bring on Christian Eriksen. But I do think that Man United are definitely trying to get him out with just no suitors. Now, what do we know today? Ajax have registered interest in signing Christian Eriksen, but they have put in no offers. The problem for a lot of clubs, can I say, in this window when it comes to Man United is everyone's interested. Nobody's putting their money where their mouth is. Excuse me, and coming to the table to say, this is what we'll pay for this player. Now, I think Man United said they're willing to sell him for 5 million. And he's an example of a short-term fix. Erik Ten Hag came in to Manchester United 2 summers ago. This is his 3rd summer actually now. And he obviously had Frankie de Jong on his mind. There was a player available on the market for free in Christian Eriksen, and he was a short-term solution to Man United's problems. Man United got the best out of what? A season out of him? After that, I think he just became... we barely saw him last season, in and out of the injury room. And when he did play, it wasn't significantly... I think there's 1 or 2 games he made a difference, but that's about it. And this is an example of Manchester United trying to... Back then, Manchester United taking shortcuts to long-term solutions. Now, that Frankie de Jong saga, we know how it played out. We know how it ended up playing out. So United had to... I mean, signing Christian Eriksen back then on a 3-year deal with like a 2-year plus 1 with like... Was he on 150? 150, I think he's on. No wonder he wanted to come to Man United. No wonder he wants to stay for the rest of the season. No wonder. It means he comes to work. He doesn't even have to work. He just trains. And he still gets paid. That's Gucci for them. That's Gucci for players. Lazio are weighing up a move for Victor Lindelof before the transfer window. There have been a few teams interested in Victor Lindelof. Man United are looking for about 10 million. If not, they're happy to let him leave on a free next summer. And that includes Fiorentina, Frankfurt, a few Saudi teams, and obviously Lazio. Now, is it... I was gonna say Lindelof go to Fiorentina and Amrabat come the other way. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know how likely that is. Hey Minna, would you swap Sancho for Lavia? I wouldn't mind Lavia, but I'm just thinking of where would he, if as a backup option. But they wouldn't get rid of him. They wouldn't get rid of him. There's only a few players at Chelsea I would take. It'd probably be Cole Palmer, Lavia, yes, Madueke, maybe. That's it, really. That's it. Like, I like the idea of some Chelsea players on paper, but I think we have to be realistic a lot of the time. I think we have to be realistic. And just quickly on this guy right here, Hannibal Mejbri, has left Man United and signed for Burnley on a permanent. Now, I remember a few days ago we were talking about this. Thought it might have been a loan. Man United got a decent deal for him, I can't lie. They got a decent deal for him. For Hannibal Mejbri's transfer to Burnley, this is what it looks like, guys. A 5.4 million fixed fee, 4 million in add-ons, so it's about 9.4 million total package, and a 50% sell-on clause. So whatever Burnley go on to, if Burnley end up selling him to Frankfurt, to Marseille, to I don't know, I'm just naming random teams in Europe, but if they end up selling him for randomly in the next season or 2, Man United get 50% of that. And Man United have, can I say, they've agreed significant sell-on clauses with quite a few of their academy players that they've sold this season. They've literally agreed near enough to 40 to 50% for most of the academy players that they've sold, which is why I think they've taken a bit of a pay decrease. I would say they took a little bit of a transfer hit for some of these players because they're looking into the future, and I guess they're looking at it thinking, how can it benefit us financially in the long term, in the next year or 2 or 3 years. Now, currently, Manchester, guys, let me see if I can bring this up. I really hope I can find it. I really hope I can find it. No, I can't find it. I can't find it. Oh, sugar honey iced tea. I wanted to bring up this graphic that I saw from Sky Sports, right? About Man United's transfer window. And the way that they account for Man United's transfers. I'm looking for it, but I can't see it. If anyone can find it, please let me know. Please let me know if you can find the screenshot from Sky Sports of how they basically present Man United's. Mina, why are you wearing a Leeds top, brother? This is not a Leeds top. You can call more than 100% profit because we bought him for like 4 or 5 million. So fantastic deal. Did we? I thought, yeah, we brought him for like 8 million euros, I think. But obviously they've this was his 1-year extension, so it is technically, it could be seen as 100%. They brought him for 5 million euros, which is about 4 million. So they, United have made a small profit on this, regardless of that. Now, in terms of business-wise, guys, right? Let's bring up this guy here. Let me find it. Let's bring up this guy here, because obviously he's next in line to come in to Manchester United. Arrived in Manchester late last night, completing his medical today. Contracts being signed, possibly get an announcement tomorrow. Hopefully registered. You know, I can. Oh my God, he might get announced to Man United. He might actually. They might do a presentation for him. They might do a presentation for him on Sunday at Old Trafford. I just realized. 42 million pounds, right? When I watch Sky Sports, or when I watch, or when I read other outlets, why do they like to report it? A, with the full fee, so fixed fee plus add-ons, and B, why do they like to do it in a different currency? Now, that if you read The Athletic, they report the currencies in USD, because The Athletic is owned by the New York Times, which is an American company. But why is it when I'm watching English outlets or I'm reading English articles, they are reporting it in USD or euros? I've seen people saying Man United have spent 60 million on Manuel Ugarte. That's not true. It's 60 million euros for the entire package. It's 51 million pounds, 42 million. Manchester United have not paid more than 45 million fixed fee this summer for any player. The two most expensive players, Euro and Ugarte. And even with the Ugarte price tag, it's interesting because obviously United have been going back and forth with PSG for basically the whole window for Manuel Ugarte. So yes, I understand that they could have put this situation to bed a long time ago. He could have come in for the first game of the season. But I think the biggest part was the terms of the payment, you know, the add-ons and the fixed fees, etc., etc. But 42 million is decent business for when you consider what Manchester United historically would pay for players. I think that's what we need to take. I don't know how you guys kind of judge Man United's transfer window, but I take into consideration previous windows. I take into consideration the market of what people are paying for generally in players. PSG paid about 15 million more for João Neves. Now, obviously, João Neves is significantly younger than him. I think he's like 3 years younger than him. But they paid around 65 million euros for João Neves. So have United got... he answers what United wants. He costs United less than what they paid for Cass. Keep that in mind, guys. What we paid for Casemiro is significantly less. And it will definitely answer our problems, I think, for a lot longer. Now, do I think Ugarte is solely the answer? Absolutely not. I do not think Manuel Ugarte is the only answer to Manchester United's midfield. But I do think you got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. I do not think Manchester United could possibly go and sign 45 million, say, midfielders in one window. I definitely do not think that would ever happen. And I do think I missed the Murto madness. What? Come on. There's price tag on potential 100%. If he has a good 3-4 years, United can sell him on. He's only 27 at that point. He'll be at his peak. He will be at his peak. But if you look at the overall window, can I say, guys, United have spent 170 million pounds in fixed fees. Possibly this could be the first window in a long time that United possibly spent less than 200 million. We've been so used to United spending 200 million plus in windows. So that's the first thing. Number two, 25 million extra in add-ons. So that brings up everything to about 195 million pounds if we're taking into consideration add-ons. But some of the add-ons are achievable, some are probably not. On top of that, you consider what Man United have saved both in transfers and in wages that they've saved. United have saved a lot of money on wages, on Rafa Varane's wages, on Anthony Martial's wages, players like Brandon Williams, etc. That is still a hit. Plus the players that they've sold and the wages that they've saved there, plus what they've sold them for. United have made about 120 million. This is including add-ons, right? So I think that's the most important thing. It's 120 million with add-ons and with wages saved, right? Offset that against what they've spent. United's net spend has been about 70 million. It's been about 70 million. Now, I know some people say you shouldn't take into consideration salary saves into everything, into like what you've raised this summer, but technically it is money because it's money that you've saved on your books. Letting go of Rafa Varane for however much he was on his wages annually has freed up space to bring in someone else. So that is very reasonable. And can I say, let's take it back to 3 months ago. The topic of discussion was that Manchester United's transfer budget for the year was £50 million. It's not that far off from it if you're considering the net spend. Net spend is the most important thing. And I think another important thing is that's not including potentially Jadon Sancho leaving, potentially Lindelof leaving, Eriksen potentially leaving. I'm saying potentially for Eriksen and Lindelof because I don't think they're actually going to leave, but I think Jadon Sancho will. So if Man United, and that's why I'm all for Man United selling Jadon Sancho rather than loaning him with an option. It just, to me, that doesn't make sense. We brought 5 starters, which is half a team, and made about £100 million in outgoings. Exactly. That is another way to look at that. That's another way to look at that. United have brought in 5 guaranteed, I would say, starters. And that shows you that they mean business. These guys here meant business. But can I just say that, just off the back of all of that, that is now taking the total of Erik Ten Hag's team to 600 million. More than that. United have spent 600. And Anthony's about how much of that? 100 million of that, or near enough to 100 million of that. Erik Ten Hag, everything now is on Erik Ten Hag and his coaching staff to get something out of this team. You look at the team that we have now on paper. Yeah, this is a top 4 team. There is no reason why this team should not finish in the top 4. The only things that I can think of is if obviously United find themselves in another predicament, such as the injury thing that happened last summer, that basically set our entire season on fire, right? If United have spent, pretty well this window. Now, Brighton, I think, spent more. Villa have spent more. Other teams have spent more. But if you just look at comparing it to the top 6, guys, let's not look at Chelsea in it because they got clearly a lot of money to spend. If we look at the big teams like City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Arsenal and City were in a title race last season. They've barely spent this window. Arsenal they brought in Moreno and they brought in Calafiori, right? They've brought in 2 players. City brought in Savio, who's changed his name to Savino. I don't know why he's done that, but they brought in Savio. Liverpool have just brought in their first signing in Chiesa, and they've brought in Mamadashvili, but he's going to stay at Valencia for 1 season. Manchester United have improved their squad immensely. We have improved our squad immensely. We went from having Wan-Bissaka and Dalot to Mazraoui and Dalot. We went from having an ever so changing back line to having De Ligt and Licha, who we're yet to see play together, but also Euro as an option. We've gone from having an aging Casemiro where, by the way, I watched back the footage of the Brighton game and I feel like Casemiro is going to be tasked with playing a bit more advanced. And I think Ugarte is going to be that 6. Right? And if Casemiro does play, he's going to play a bit more advanced. But we've brought in a midfield. I don't want to say a midfield monster because I don't want to label him as that. But we've brought in a destroyer, someone whose sole job is going to be to protect the back line and go to war every single game. We've brought in a prospect striker that did decent last season. We got Ahmad, who's a improvement to the squad that we had last season, or the options that we had last season. We've got Garnacho, who has started the season pretty well. With Erik Ten Hag has been set up to succeed. And for me, that is the most important thing. Now, whether United finish top 4 or not, I think it also depends on how the other teams kind of get on. But the biggest thing for me, can I say, with Man United this season and Erik Ten Hag, and it will show on Sunday. I'll actually be at the game. I'm looking forward to it. The biggest thing for me is how United do when they come up against top 6. Top 6, top 8, whatever you want to call it. How do United do when they come up against Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea? When we come up against them, how will United do? Because I remember last season, I think United won 1 game in the league against the top 6, if I'm not wrong. I think they won 1 game. We beat Chelsea at home. I think we drew or lost to everybody else. So that's for me a measurement of how have Manchester United improved. That's the first measurement, because it's not just solely silverware. I've said United have to win Europa, right? But it's not just silverware that will allow us to judge the season. I think 1 is how we play against top 6, and B, how we do away from home. How we do away from home. Edward says, I would take top 8 and Europa Cup this season. Top 8 is... What the hell is top 8, guys? I wish, can I say, yeah, sometimes that Conference League and Europa League and that didn't exist, because we're treating that like an achievement. When people say, oh, we're in Europe, can I say, yeah, when I say that team is in Europe, when I say a team is in Europe, I mean they're in Champions League. They're not in Europa or Conference League. To me, being in Europe is Champions League. Can I just say that's my opinion? Obviously, Edward, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and thank you. I appreciate you getting involved in the comment section. But top 8 should not be a benchmark. Benchmark. It shouldn't even be the minimum. Top 8 should never. Those words should never be uttered out of Manchester United's mouth. Never ever in my life. It was embarrassing the times that we've finished outside of top 4, let alone finishing in top 8. It's embarrassing to be in Conference League, to be in Europa League. To me, being in Europe is Champions League. And I know people say Europa League is a European title. It is, but when you talk about European titles, guys, what do you think of? Because if you say to me, I got a European trophy, I think of Champions League. That's what I think of. Let me see what else you lot are saying in the chat. Big up to Sheila says, we have to compete for top 4 given the improvements to our squad. 100%. Fillmore says, here's the thing with top 4. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I want United to finish with 75 points or better. If that's not top 4, so be it. In my opinion, we should focus more on points instead of position. That's a good point, because when I talk to Arsenal fans, they talk a lot about points. Obviously, points for them equals a different place that they've finished in the table, but they talk about the points improvement that they've done under Arteta. Whenever I speak about Arteta with Arsenal fans, so that is also a valid point, because like I said, a lot of it also depends on where our opponents, how are the opponents doing. If United are on a winning games back to back to back, and other teams are winning games back to back to back, the big part is when you come up against that team and you have to take points off them. But if United are winning games back to back to back and everybody else is not having, not doing that good or etc., that is not a direct correlation, can I say, to how good we might be playing. Mina, are you excited about Kone? I am so looking forward to seeing Kone. If you lot don't know, let me bring it up here on screen. If you lot don't know, United are finalizing everything to bring Sekou Kone in to Manchester United. Listen, I've already said why I'm excited to see Sekou Kone at Manchester United. I would say, guys, there's nothing wrong when United sign a young player. Go watch footage. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, can I say, you not knowing about a player and watching content about that player to see what kind of player they are. Who? Oh, Sekou Kone. Manchester United have signed a young Malian central midfielder, a 6, a 8, if you want to say, from a team in Mali. I forgot the team's name. It begins with G, for just about £1 million compensation. Prospect, an academy prospect that they're going to bring here and slowly integrate into the academy, and then eventually, obviously, integrate into the first team. 2 seasons from now, we might see a Kone and Kobe midfield. Nah, I'm kidding. I don't know what the future holds for him, but in terms of what he's going to do in the academy, I'm really looking forward to it. And also, can I just say, I'm glad Man United are now looking at African markets for academy prospects. Because before United, what happened? Man United were missing out a lot on what's it called? South American prospects, right? And what teams or what regions invest or buy players from Africa? Other European teams, the Leipzigs, the Salzburgs, the Dutch teams, etc., etc. I'm happy that United are now looking at there as a target. I hope that they're looking. I'm glad to see that. I can't wait for the transfer window to close so we can see the team we have and how they play. I think that's a big thing as well because I did a prediction for the season, but I did kind of say that it's difficult to predict the season without knowing what the final team United end with. If United finish with Ugarte as the final signing, I don't know how I'll feel about that. Honestly, I don't know how I'll feel about that. Just because I feel like United need maybe one more signing. United definitely need a left back. But you look at the left backs on the market right now, guys. I'm not being funny, but who are United going to sign? I think, by the way, a lot of reports have suggested that United's transfer window is kind of wrapped up financially. So maybe if United sign one more player, it's a player on a free. It's a Rabiot, it's a Hermoso, it's someone that's available on a free or a loan. I think that's the only thing. Well, last season, if you don't remember, transfer deadline day is when we signed Soufiane Amrabat. Transfer deadline day is when we signed Soufiane Amrabat. And that was a loan. So if United get Ugarte through the door and announce tomorrow, maybe, I wouldn't say that's the end of United's window. They might be looking at bringing one more person in, and it could be either a left back or another midfielder, and it could be a loan or it could be a free. But I think in terms of paying for players, I think it's done. I think it's done after Ugarte. United can sign Kadioglu from Brighton. He just joined Brighton today, guys. He just joined Brighton today. How are we going to sign Kadioglu? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. In terms of left backs, I feel like who can United sign that? Bloody hell, his name's gone out of my head. The guy that we signed last season on loan. What was his name? What was his name, guys? Damn. I forgot his name. That's how much I just erased it from my memory. But anyway, you don't know who I'm talking. Regulon. There you go. Regulon. United could sign Regulon or Hermoso on a free. That's it. Other than that, I don't know what other fullbacks would be available. How Brighton sneaked that signing is breathtaking. Guys, have you not seen Brighton's transfer spend this season? Have you guys seen their transfer spend? They've spent over 200 million. They've spent over 200 million this window. Look at this. Look at this. They've spent over, and by the way, Kadioglu for 30 million is a bargain. That's a decent fee. But they've spent 238 million euros. That's like what, 220 million pounds? They are, I think, the highest spender in the league this year. And that shows how far the league has come. The highest person that they've paid for 46 million. Minter for me is a good signing, man. He's a good signing. He's gonna come good for them. And who have they let go? I want to see who they've let go. Pascal Gross. Oh, he went to Dortmund. I didn't know that. They haven't even sold a lot of players this year. This has possibly been their cheapest window in terms of selling people, guys. This has probably been their cheapest window because normally in the windows they sell quite hefty. This year they've sold less than 30 million. They've sold less than 30 million, which is interesting. Can I say the Swedish leagues? There's a lot of good players there. There's a lot of good players in the Swedish leagues that kind of goes under the radar. What usually ends up happening in the Swedish league is that French teams end up buying players from there, and then English teams end up buying from the French teams. But if United want to start looking at some decent wingers that there is in the Swedish league, they should. They really should, because that's definitely an option there. My neighbors have started that screaming business again, guys. They've actually started that screaming business. But we're going to do another stream tomorrow, inshallah, God willing. Might have Marcel on here. It's 50-50. But Daily Dose of Minna will be back tomorrow. On Friday, we got 2 streams, guys. We got Daily Dose of Minna, which is transfer deadline day special. And then we've got a preview stream. I'm joined by a good friend of mine and Liverpool content creator, where we're going to preview the game for Sunday. We're going to talk all things Man United, Liverpool, and obviously it will be around the same time as the last couple hours of the transfer deadline, so we'll keep an eye on that. Now, I have a question for you guys quickly before we wrap the stream up. Is it Friday? Yeah, deadline day is Friday, 11 p.m. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure it's deadline day. Yeah, Friday 30th, 11 p.m. is deadline day. Now, I have a question for you guys. I'm going to the game on Sunday. It's not my first United game of the season, but I'm going to the game on Sunday. And I don't know what people prefer. Viewers, do you prefer a vlog? Or do you prefer just a post-match reaction video outside the stadium? Say, if I was to do my five things we learned in 5 minutes, if I did it outside of the stadium, would you prefer that? Now, I will do a minute state of mind after the game, probably the next day. But I'm trying to see what everybody would prefer. I don't like vlogging personally. I've done a few vlogs on my channel when I went to Champions League, when I go to women's game, but vlogging is just so much effort, like just recording myself and mic and all of that. Saeed was telling me to get these little small cameras, which hopefully I'll be able to invest in the next couple months, God willing. But I don't know, I feel like it's easier for me to just record a reaction video straight outside the stadium, upload it, because Josh is there, so I can just ask Josh to record it on his camera for me. You lot saying, someone's saying vlog, I'm saying both. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I got to make a decision. You lot can help me make a decision over the next couple of days. Now, to the person that said to me, I'm wearing a Leeds shirt, you're a disgrace. I'm not wearing a Leeds shirt. I'm wearing a Palmer shirt. I've made a goal. Obviously, you lot know that I like football shirts. So I've made a goal to buy as many football shirts as I can in the year that I was born. So this shirt is the Palmer kit, the year that I was born. So obviously, I've already got the United one. So I'm looking at, like, I really like vintage shirts or retro shirts, if you want to call it that. So I'm looking at that. So if there's any shirts that you lot think I should get, let me know, because I'm looking at the France 96 shirt. That's not the year I was born, but that's the closest year to France shirts. But I don't want to wear a France shirt because me and the French are, yeah. So if you lot have any suggestions of shirts, I'm thinking maybe like Real Madrid, AC Milan. Obviously, I got United. I wouldn't really get any other Premier League shirts. So a lot of them will have to be European teams or international shirts. I saw a really nice Wales one that I might get. Pre-match, halftime, post-match reactions in one vid. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That'll be a long video, though. That'll be a long video. 1988 Netherlands. Brother, I wasn't born in 88. Let me see what the year for I was born Netherlands kit. Oh, it's just a basic orange shirt from the year that I was born with a collar. The one thing I like about vintage kits, can I say, guys, is I like the fact that they got collars. Like, I like United's kits when they have collars as well. 1966 England. Firstly, I wasn't born in 66. You lot missed the whole, you guys missed the whole point, is that I'm buying shirts in the year that I was born so that I can have kits of the year that I was born. And they're not cheap, guys. The retro kits are mad. They are mad. But anyway, guys, you know what it is, man. Listen, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Let's see if we've got, I don't think we've got any more news about Manchester United as we come to the end of the stream. But if we get a here we go later today for Manuel Ugarte, if we get an announcement, I will go live. I will go live if we get an announcement. I highly doubt that we will. But we'll keep an eye on that. But you don't know what it is. Listen, if you're watching it back, did we get to 100? We did. We got to 100 likes. I thought you were born in 64. I would definitely not be streaming if I was born in 64. I wouldn't know how to probably navigate all this software. Guys, the 1964, like none of my siblings were even born in 1964. Come on, guys. Why are you gatekeeping the year you were born? I'm not. If you know what year this shirt is from, you know what year I was born. 1942. Come on, don't do that. 2006 Trinidad and Tobago kit. Let me see what that looks like, because I'm going on holiday soon and I'm trying to get a kit of the country that I'm going to as well. Let me see what Trinidad is. Oh, that looks sick. That actually looks sick, the Trinidad kit. the all red one, and they got an all white one as well. Yeah, that looks sick. That looks sick. I might have to look for that. But you don't know what it is. Listen, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Like I said, if there is any more news between now and tomorrow, I'll be live. But until then, you lot know what it is. What's happening for the rest of the week? Daily Dose of Mina tomorrow. We got 2 streams on Friday, so you lot don't want to miss out. Daily Dose of Mina Saturday morning, and then Liverpool game Sunday. It's a busy one. Get the 5 legendary 7 United kits: Robson, Bex, CR7, Cantona, and Best. I want to get there's two kits that I want to get, actually 3. But now that you've said Best and Robson, I might as well just add them to it. I want to get the CR7 shirt in his first year at United. You know, the black Vodafone one. I want to get that. I want to get the Bex one, the one that has the strings here with the collar. I want to get that one. And I wanted to get the Cantona one. So that is those 3, and then I'll probably have to put Best and Robson into it. I don't know where I can find it from, so if anyone knows where I can find them from, where it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg and a kidney, let me know, guys. Let me know. But big up to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I'm out, man. Hit the like button on your way out, guys. Peace.